right, I think I'm live. This has 2 views now. I guess you can watch it on your phone or watch it on your computer. I don't know. Or watch it in your dreams. It's a little hot here. Turn that off for now. All right, hello everybody. It's 1:11 on the time, and there's noise outside. I'm just pouring water. I know that sounded not pouring coffee. Sorry, I know that sounded a little gross. Sorry about that. The guy's getting ready to sell this building, so you can hear some work out in the yard. Okay, let's go over the Dow's up 250, NASDAQ's up almost 500, 474, and S&P's up 88. Finger is down a penny at 134. G-Bucks is down a little bit at 14 cents, 0.144. GDC is down 6.5 cents at 380. Energy Vault's up 9.5 cents at 362.5. And the bell of the ball is Railtown. It's let's see, 0.408 on the bid. The ask is 0.434 with a large amount of stock for sale, which I don't believe. 52,500. The volume on the day is 88,630. I show the last trade as 12,774 shares at $4. Sorry, 42.5 cents. $4 would be great, wouldn't it? Okay. What do I want to attack first? I guess let me put this. Lovely, isn't it? A lovely outfit. Let me try to straighten this up a little bit. Loverly. All right. Let me go down these quickly. Jeff Grimm, Ola, you are number 1. Justin Babish came in at number 2. Or you both came in. Maybe you're tied at number 1. All right, Justin, I'm going to put that down, but 202 shares today. So I'm going to add that to you. That's good. That's what to do, Justin. At some point, of course, that's my opinion, but I wouldn't be saying it if I don't think it's going to be accurate. At some point, you're not going to be able to buy the stock. I tried to put it under $1, but they wouldn't let me put my title up there for some reason. Maybe I can't figure it out. But anyway, I think it's going to be your last chance to buy it under $1 soon. I've said that for a long time, and it would be quite accurate to point that out to me. But it doesn't mean I'm going to be wrong. Right now it's 0.4. Well, I've been wrong, but it doesn't going to mean I'm going to continue to be wrong. 0.408 to 0.4317. What are we waiting on? I believe what we're waiting on is for the AIP deal to close. The AIP deal is significant. The presentation, which we can go over again, and I've kind of gotten I'm trying to clean up this area here, and I've gotten everything kind of in a mess while I do it. But anyway, the presentation, I just got to find it. It sits over here now. And I have a clip I can use for it. I use the red one, my last red one. In this presentation, which I think is excellent, and we don't give it enough credit because the stock isn't up yet. Well, I think the stock is going to be up in Canada. It's not going to be up with our buying. That's my opinion. But anyway, when you go through this and you get to page, I don't know the page number, frankly. I really don't. But you get back into the meat of the presentation. They give you this entry here, right here, which maybe is hard to read for you. See right here. I'll read it to you. This is the combined Railtown AIP competitive moat. That's what they call it. So it's one of the sixth reason is platform capacity. So there's an opportunity. Obviously, once Railtown controls AIP network, that opportunity converts to reality. To move acquired, any of the rolled up companies, acquired network companies, or non-acquired, just any of the companies in the network. There's, according to this, there's over 170. Another place in here it says over 180. It's a lot of companies. Anyway, moving every company that sells you, think of it, when you use your phone, you use your laptop, you use your iPad, you use anything, your gadgets in your car, your anything, any app, anything involved in this modern internet and AI age, it goes through something that is hosted somewhere, a tool hosted somewhere. Well, the affiliates currently spend $120 million a year with various data centers, hyperscalers. Well, they're going to move it to a common, lower cost platform. Tell us. Tell us who it's going to be. Tell us who it's going to be. Well, then it says in here, you can find this. I linked it in my top 10 reasons video, but I think it's going to be on the website soon. But I'll show it to you. Shared revenue. Tell us who it be. All right, so if you assume, just for simplicity, that said 100 million, not 120, and it's 15%, that's $15 million. And then let's say they go to 200 million predictably over the course of the next 12 months, because it's going to be growing. That's 30 million. So somewhere between 15 million and $30 million can be projected as revenue as a result of this AIP tie-up acquisition that is almost entirely, I'd say 99% margin. It's all profit. So in 2 steps, you get a high margin revenue that the company controls, which is going to get a big multiple. It's ongoing, it's recurring. So if they get to, let's say, 20 million and they get a 100x times that. I mean, you can do that arithmetic, but let's just make sure I'm correct before I blurt it out. I'm always wrong in my head. I know some of you are going to like that. You're going to quote that I said I'm always wrong in my head. You're going to take it out of context. I mean, in doing arithmetic. So if they do 20 million in revenue from this 100% area, number one, it's more than LangChain is doing, and LangChain hasn't even done it yet. They're projected somewhere between 12 and 16 million. They haven't even done it yet. And they're not making any money. And they're valued at 1.25 billion. Well, which means their multiples over 200x. But let's use 100x just because the arithmetic's easy. That's a $2 billion valuation just from transferring all of these network companies from their current hyperscalers, maybe in the United States, where they need to get into Canada so they can get away from Donald Trump. They put it on TELUS, and then they revenue share this gravy train revenue that's growing with Railtown. You divide that, I mean, that's done without issuing any more shares. So let's just assume they issue no more shares. You can adjust this as you want. That gives you a target of $9 a share. Just from that one piece. It's amazing. But we've had to wait. We've had to wait, and it's frustrating. And if you want to take $9 and cut that in half, because you don't trust my assumption, it's $4.50. You don't trust that, cut that in half. It's $2.25. It's a heck of a lot higher than here. And where did I get that information? November 2025. Not making it up. Where did I get the comparison to LangChain? I've shown you. I'll show you again before this this is all over. So one thing I did this weekend is I found my old notebook, one of my old notebooks, and I'm not particularly good at my handwriting. I'm not particularly good at always using the notebook, but I do sometimes. So I hope this is the right one. It might not be. I might have grabbed the wrong one. Let me see. Tell us who's it gonna be? 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 All right, so of course I can't quite read my writing, but I wrote here, I wrote a lot of things down. But tell us who's it gonna be? So here's the date, November. So we're in November now. It was the end of November. And I think this is my first notes, although I believe that I had already discussed Railtown before. It had been introduced to me because, and I'm not going to look it up now, I believe I got the deck at that time in October. But anyway, this is a conversation that I had about Railtown in November. Tell her you belong to me. Okay. At that time, Railtown had several marketing groups working on getting buyers. They had, obviously, I had a hint of it, but they had Canaccord, but they also had somebody out of the UK. They were working on their, what's that called, SOC 2 approval, and they expected it, which they got. And the stock, the scuttlebutt was the stock was going to move nicely, maybe December, January, February, March, first quarter, with the same projections that I'm making now. And I was just talking, I didn't even write down who I was talking with, but the person was calling my attention to how much money companies like Microsoft and others are paying on multiples. And they said, well, maybe they won't pay 50x, but they're going to pay a good multiple. And then we discussed what they had, this tool for coding and this tool for helping develop software development teams. And the key was they could take a 6-month, 9-month job and turn it into minutes. That's what I wrote down, but turn it into a few days. And the revenue discussion we had, which we didn't know about, was enormous. Then I have notes here about GDC or G-Bucks. But anyway, my point about this, the reason I bring it up, is I've been studying this Railtown as an idea for a long time, a year, probably slightly over a year. There was a press release with AMD that was out. That was already out. There were discussions that there was going to be deal flow, and we could see that news come over the next weeks or months. And that it was always a candidate for a merger and acquisition. Then there's notes here on Nixie. And here's the stock. All right, so on December 9th, 2024, Nixie was $4.38. I must have owned that. Railtown was 0.3746. So you're actually buying Railtown not much higher than it was a year ago. And we know so much more. And I think it's all waiting till AIP closes. You know where gold was on December 9th, 2024, according to me, what I wrote down? 2,680. Do you know where silver was on December 9th, 2024? $32.72. Egads. All right, so what my point about this is, this discussions, and my due diligence and my excitement on Railtown started somewhat over a year ago. And the story on Railtown, the conductor and all that, was very similar to what I'm telling you now. So I have 2 points about that. One, I bet that story's gotten better, because they haven't been at the beach for the last year, and the what do you call it? The beta testing of conductor and all of its iteration is ongoing, and they've announced products even during this period. So that's number one. Is the story was great a year ago. I'm sure it's even better now on the conductor, on the Railtown side. But what happened in the meantime? February 11th, and I bet it started sooner. Let me just show you something I drew up of my own concoction to show you. It's kind of weak, but you'll put up with it because, I don't know how to do anything technologically. But I just want to show it to you. This is my point. There was conversation, there was excitement, there was discussion, and it was just ramping up. And this doesn't go back to November and December, but I used pink over here. I bet in January there was already a hushing up of the story. But in the red here, on February 11th, they announced the AIP acquisition. It said MOU in the title. It said LOI. It said weeks. It said acquire. So the computers just automatically start selling. That's the game. And that's the whole, the leak the massive leak at the bottom of US markets. But so what happened is these guys went to the AI After Dark event in British Columbia in November, and they joined AIP Network in December around that. And I'm sure they started talking in December, January. So already this cone of silence is descending on all the great news that was knowable a year ago. And then February 11th came. And so February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, and even October. On October 8th, actually October 6th, they filed it. They made an announcement that essentially they intended to acquire AIP, but they didn't have all the votes yet. They had a majority. Anyway, it was a confusing announcement. And then a month later, November 6th, they announced that they had announced and they were going to continue to announce, and they're going to get it finished by the 14th, and there'll be an announcement then. So starting around October 6th to the end of this week, it's still in a caution period. It's still in the period where you can't talk about this thing. And then sometime after the 14th, this Friday, it's going to start, the light is going to turn green. And I would expect slowly at first, I don't know if it'll take a day or a few days, but I think it'll be green in term, and what I'm focused on here is buying, institutional buying, insider buying, knowledgeable buying, whale buying, family office buying, mutual fund buying, retirement plan buying, buying by retail up in Canada where it matters. I would argue it got slowed down January, February, and then it just halted. It's just, if you know something or can be perceived to know something that can be assumed to be material, non-public information, you can't buy the stock. And so it's been February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. And just to give you, I know that I gave you my reason. I've been admonished that it's unfair, that that's not the reason. But I will tell you something. Without knowing what went on, I think it's inexcusable that two lawyers took this long to draw up a 100-page document. Absolutely inexcusable. But maybe I don't know what's going on. And they had to work with two other lawyers, so I guess it's 4 attorneys. But this is, whatever happened, okay? But the point is, beginning to start in January and then coming to a full halt in February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, and now slowly thawing in October. But now we're still in bloody November. We're going to be halfway through November before this knowledge and campaign, which started a year ago, over a year ago, was put in freeze mode, can't talk. Now, I started this presentation with you today by pointing out that AIP is an extremely valuable, and maybe it's just by chance, because now we know about TELUS. I doubt TELUS has been around that long. AIP is going to be extraordinarily valuable to Railtown and to all of us. But there's no excuse for attorneys taking a year to get well, I'm exaggerating, 10 months to get a 100-page document finished. They need to go back to law school and become professors. They should not be business attorneys. Or they need to go into, working in fields of equality, not equity. They need to move into fields of do-gooderism rather than capitalism. But anyway, the very good news is, by this Friday, the thaw is going to begin, and you're going to see next week, slowly but steadily, and then the following week, you're going to see buying, I think, from Canada. Now, here in the United States, where I drew in yellow, that's going to be vacation. I think Monday and Tuesday of that last week of November are going to be light volume days, and the decision makers are going to be in Banff or in Stad or in Mauritius or something. That last week of November is a goner. But there might be some buying in Canada. And then you're going to have the first week in December, the second week in December, and the third week in December. You might not have all of the first week because people are on vacation. But then December is going to be a goner in the last week and a half, just a complete goner. So we're basically going to have ahead of us 4, maybe 5 weeks of buying up in Canada. And so we're going to condense, I hope, in this sort of a month full of trading spread over the end of November, bulk of December. We're going to see the effects of marketing, telling the story, and buying that was put on hold in January, and for some reason it took bloody almost all year to get a document finished. Now, it could be negotiations, it could be valuation, it could be that, there was envy and jealousy and internal squabbling at the law firms. It could be that regulators held it up. It could be that, who knows, maybe this TELUS thing, they stuck their nose in and said, we want to know what's going on, and who knows? But I personally think it's inexcusable for, in a hot market where everything is happening, that it took 10 months to write a 100-page document. Now, what's the good side of it? There's 2 good things. 1, it's about to end. 2, we had the chance. We had the chance to buy 15 million shares. 15,242,000 shares. And that makes you very powerful. That makes you very powerful. All right, so I made my point. and it's pointless going on. If loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right. If being right is being without you, I'd rather live a wrong doing life. Your mama and daddy say he's a shame. He's a downright disgrace. But as long as I have you by my side, I don't care what your people say. Marco, 30,000, that's awesome. Taking advantage of the sale prices. Bravo, Marco. Marty Party. Grabbed another 500. All right. It's going to start showing up. Your patience, your courage, your action. The key is to act. While others are frozen, you act. Grabbed another 500. Okay. Tebow. Yes, that's exactly right. Railtown record date was today, right? Yep. The last day to trade regular way was Friday. So today's the record date, and the annual meeting is the 17th. I'd love to go to that meeting, actually. Maybe I'll go to Banff. Maybe I'll go to the annual meeting, meet some dowager at the annual meeting in her dotage, and with hundreds of millions of dollars. I'll invite her to Banff, and maybe just kidding. that story can't go anywhere good. Eric B, time to buy, exactly. Free stocks, high free stocks. I bought 30,000 last time for a total of 255. I rewatched the live. It didn't look like you were able to see. I couldn't see your update. You're exactly right. Thank you, free stock. So you added another 10. I'm so jealous of your position, but I'm also so happy for you, free stock alerts. It's one can have both emotions, envy and happiness for the other, but it doesn't mean I'd love to have that position. But I'm glad you do. It's not contradictory. I'm very happy for you, and I hope you become, I hope it changes your life, and if you hold on to it, I hope it becomes, and there's a lot to learn as we go, and a lot to pay attention to as we go, but it has the potential of being the cornerstone of changing your life permanently. Uh, uh, when you're my age, you can look back and say that was one of your best decisions, other than buying your puppy dog and getting married and having children, and planting those trees out in the back of your spread that now tower over everything else, and being kind to your web-footed friends. For a duck can be somebody's mother. Hey, Jackson, how are you? Hola. Jackson, hello. Hi, Jim. Keith, go, William. Exactly. Let me see what It's good to see you, Keith. Thank you for the encouragement. Eric, what is this? The TELUS CIO, Hashim Fahmy, 3-day made a post about Railtown. I guess you're on LinkedIn. All right, let me see if I can find it. Let me see. I don't know if I will, but I can try. Hashim Abdul Wahab, Hesham Majad, Hesham Salim, Hesham Mumin, Hesham Hassan Alabama, Hesham Yusuf. He's not popping up. Let me try. F-A-H. All right, here we go. Hesham Fahmy. TELUS. Hey, it pops right up. Pops right up. But I'm not sure it's LinkedIn. Could be. Could be. I mean, is he a Terranet? Yeah, here it is. Hesham Fahmy. He goes by he or him. Such a sexist. Chief Information Officer at TELUS. Terranet Inc., University of Toronto. I guess he lives in Mississauga, Ontario. Mississauga. A lot of people follow him. He's passionate. Passion. The problem is I don't see his posts. It says here he took the stage at the All In 2025 to unveil what's keeping us up at night at TELUS and NVIDIA. But then he writes, today we changed the game for Canadian AI forever. TELUS has officially opened Canada's first fully sovereign AI factory, which is live and operational in Rimouski. There's a lot of mooses up where they ski in Quebec. That's why they call it Rimouski. Come see the moose ski in Quebec. I just don't see. These are his featured posts. So I want to see his other activity. All right, let me go down here. He's got a heck of a following. Here it is, show all posts. Okay. Let me see what one you're talking about. 3 days ago. I'll read the first bits of his posts as I get there. His most recent post is, thank you, Andrew Dubovec and the entire league team for the energizing conversation last week about how sovereign secure AI can help us reimagine healthcare delivery. Keep that in your head. Then he writes, incredibly proud to celebrate our TELUS third quarter achievements as our TELUS team leads the charge in building the national AI infrastructure that will power Canada's digital future. They're going to cull human beings as they get too old and replace them with AI robots up in Canada. Then he wrote, it's great to see Chris Madden from TELUS and our colleagues from Cohere, PwC, and OpenText leading critical conversations on how Canada should build its AI. The next one at the Canadian Club of Ottawa. Agentic AI is more than the next wave of automation. It represents a shift towards systems that can understand intent, make decisions, and act proactively. The Canadian Club looks pretty nice. Then his next post says, we all know we need AI to advance Canada's future. We're going nowhere with our hockey teams. But how do we do that without losing control of our data? That might be where Railtown comes in. Some partnerships just hit different. Of course, we all know some partnerships just hit us differently would be, anyway. We have to live in our own grammar generation, even if it is a nightmare. Compute just hit different. But that's the beauty of English. You can abuse it and still get your thought across. TELUS is joining hands with Indigenomics Institute. All right, that's good. The next one, the future of cybersecurity depends on how well we prepare our teams today. And there's no better time than October's Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Wow, I went through all of October and I did not know it was Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Down here, we're more concerned with other things. And then this is, he took the stage with Chris Penrose. I wonder if he's related to Sir Penrose. All right, I don't see this, Eric B. But this guy's good. He's very active. He knows a lot of people. He's got good energy, and he knows Susan Pound. Don't you know Susan Pound? She's the executive director of CIO Communities. And she says huge thanks to TELUS for their ongoing partnership and continued support of our Toronto CIO. And there's a lot of people with her in her picture. I don't see this, Eric, I don't see it. I don't know how to find it. I don't know how to search on LinkedIn. But you guys can do it. You can go to LinkedIn, look up Hesham Fahmy, and he's a hell of an ambassador for both TELUS, but also for Canadian AI. Here he is. I'll show you a picture of him if you find it, and you can look him up. I can't find that I can't find it, Eric, that link, but I'm sure it's there. I just don't know how to search. Maybe if I search him and I write LinkedIn, isn't it great how they spell LinkedIn? It's great. So clever. I wonder how much they spent for that. All right, LinkedIn, and then I wrote, what do you say? Railtown. All right, I'll write Railtown. See what happens. Railtown. All right, let's see if this is it. I don't know. No, I can't find it. So you guys can look it up. Oh, no, here it is. I find it. I found it. I found it. All right, I'll read it to you, then I'll show it to you. It says, it's Heshem Fahmy, incredibly proud to celebrate our TELUS Q3 achievements as our TELUS team leads the charge in building the national AI infrastructure that will power Canada's digital future for generations to come. This quarter, we opened Canada's first fully sovereign AI factory, a groundbreaking, ultra-secure facility giving Canadian businesses and researchers access to world-class AI technology to develop smarter products, streamline operations, and compete globally, all while keeping data secure and under Canadian control. The third quarter, joined forces with transformational partners and customers, including Accenture, OpenText, Ernst Young Canada, League, and Railtown AI Technologies to unlock the benefits of sovereign AI across our country. Railtown. All right, I'm gonna repost that. How do you repost? I'm not very good at LinkedIn. All right, I'll repost it. Repost. I'll try to take a picture of this. So maybe it'll show up and I can show everybody. And if it does, I'll show it to you. If it doesn't, you got to take my word for it, or you can look it up. You can look it up. You can look it up. All right, let's go back to the price. 0.401 by 0.4148. But of course, as soon as I come on, they get the price down. It's 99,079, 99,790. I only show 3 trades since I came on. One was, or just before I came on for the first one, 12,774 shares at 42.5. Then I show 100 shares at 42.3. And then, of course, 500 shares for sale at 41.5. No. That's the ask. So that was a purchase. 500 shares bought at 41.5. All right, let's keep going. Thank you, Eric B. That's awesome. Yes, I know it's on LinkedIn. Ward, good afternoon, William and Railtown crew. I spent the weekend getting caught up on all the great news last week. I see John Ruffalo is on the board with AIP. Was not aware of that. Well, unfortunately, you must have been busy or I must have been rambling, because you know I am a rambling man. I showed everybody that John Ruffalo's on the board. It says here, oh, Ward, maybe that's the difference. I showed everyone he's an advisory board member. So maybe, all right, so maybe that's different what you're saying. All right, I stand corrected. So Ward Richardson, I spent the weekend getting caught up on all the great news. It was great news. I see John Ruffalo is on the board with AIP. Was not aware of that. That is great news. It is. Although I hope it doesn't affect his ability to buy a gigantic position in Railtown. Railtown upcoming date is November 10th. Wait a minute, am I wrong? What's today's date? I thought today is the 10th. Tell her, you belong to me. Yeah, today's the 10th. So this is the record date for the meeting. Tomorrow is Veterans Day. And Wednesday I have a $1.10 prediction. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. But who knows? Next Wednesday my prediction is $2.50 and I'm not changing it. I think that could happen. But we'll see. One of these Wednesdays I'm going to be correct. Jack Hamilton. Good afternoon, Mr. William. Please add 307. That's awesome. 307 is awesome. Everything you can buy, now is the time to do it. Good job. Ward Richardson says, I also see the share count has gone up over 1 million shares in the last 7 trading days. That's fantastic. You're talking about this. Pretty good. Some of it, Ward, comes from the fact that not all of it, but I'd say maybe the 242 range of it comes from emails that I never read before, which I did over earlier last week. So a little bit of that already was in our account, but I didn't know about it because I'm somewhat ineffectual. 0.401 to 0.4209. 12.5 is the bid, but the ask, they're moving it all around. They want you to think there's so much for sale, so much for sale. The problem here for them is there's no large institution. In my judgment, Polar, the client for Aubrey Advisors, was behind the total destruction and theft of the market cap in the DLQ SPAC. But I mean, the evidence is there in front of your eyes, but of course they don't leave proof of it. So it's just my opinion. But the carnage is there. Somebody did it. Free stock alerts. I'm taking notes. I've only listened to you a few weeks, though you have covered Railtown quite some time. It's a no-brainer. Long-term holder. Yeah. Take notes and see if I'm ever right about anything. But I think you, free stock alerts, are correct about Railtown. Not about me. It's all about you. All about you. But it's great. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're listening. Uh, uh, I think it's going to be, I think Railtown is going to change a lot of people's accounts. And it's a way to get away from some of this, some of these other, less strong stocks that we've been around for the last 2 or 3 years. Tebow Teals. Railtown will acquire all the outstanding shares of AIP from the holder. Yes, exactly. And that's going to happen on the 14th. Finally. And I think shortly thereafter, I would say Monday, but I could be wrong. I think the weekend is enough time elapsed for broad distribution that transaction has been completed. It's only subject to will the attorneys file Friday or, go to the day spa in the afternoon. I don't know. But as soon as Monday, I would expect you'll see buying from knowledgeable current holders of Railtown who've been estopped, I think I can use that word that way, estopped from purchasing. Any of the insiders, any of the large major holders, anybody maybe associated with Omers or Mavericks, basically anybody that really is in the know about Railtown hasn't been able to buy it. And I think shortly after this transaction closes, the buying will start coming in to the extent that they had signed CAs or NDAs or I don't know, some form of a standstill agreement. Somebody will point out I'm usually using the wrong word. But once this transaction is completed and announced as completed, I think you're going to start seeing buying. Will it be a flood or a trickle? We'll find out. But once it starts, I don't think it's stopping. And I think the price keeps going up. Mary Patton. Good afternoon. Hope everyone is having a good Monday. I bought it. Yay! Yay, Mary! Yay, Mary! It's exactly what to do in my judgment. Good for you. Good for you, Mary. Take advantage of this because when it's gone, you're going to wonder why you didn't. And just, Mary, using your example, today you spent, or Friday, whatever, you probably spent, whatever, $450 or less to buy 1,000 shares. If I'm right, in 2 weeks, it could cost you $2,500 to buy that same position. Of course, I've been wrong. So maybe in 3 weeks you go with that number. It costs you $3,750. You get my point. Now's the time to be buying, and good on you. Tebow, we don't know what went on that caused the time. That's true. We don't know. And I've been a jerk blaming it on the attorneys. But we really don't know. But the good news is we've been able to build our position. I think further good news is that good things have come our way, both in terms of that revenue sharing agreement with TELUS, which has nothing to do with acquisitions, by the way. And it's all gravy in the story. Who would have conceptualized that source of revenue? And it's 100%, well, whatever, 95% cash flow. I mean, just do that exercise. What if by 6 months into next year, you could project that the TELUS revenue sharing is going to be $200 million a year, and it's at 99%, 95% margin. So just add a little bit to make the arithmetic work. It's 210 million going forward for 12 months. That conceptually, for the forward 12 months, gives Railtown 200 million in revenue that turns into cash flow, that turns into capital that can acquire the network companies for cash rather than issuing shares. And can we hear what that means? Non-dilutive, accretive. Guys, this is going to become, it has the potential to become a mini juggernaut like Constellation Software. And maybe it becomes a big juggernaut very quickly. But it's going to jug, whether or not you know it. Eddie Rawlings asked you, Tebow, did he cover the Form 9 filing? I have no idea. What's the Form 9 filing? Let me look it up. If it's there, I'll find it. I did look last night after midnight, I think. It might have been earlier. I didn't sleep that well last night. Tell her you belong to me. Tell her you were fooling. Railtown Technologies. Okay, let's see if there's, what do you call it, a Form 9 filing? It's processing. Still processing. Okay, Whatever it was doing has been processed. Now, I don't see the Form 9 filing. Where do I find it, Eddie? I don't know where to find the Form 9. I'll write it down. I'll try to find it after we go off. I don't know what it is. I don't know where to find it. Tebow. Tebow says, I didn't notice. Eddie says, thank you. Eddie says, we have momentum. Let's go. Ward Richardson asks me, why are there messages on your video and not seeing them on the message board? I don't know that answer either. They changed how this, they just changed it. So it's presenting it in a horizontal form and vertical form. I don't know the answer to that, Ward. I really don't. David Peterson, kind of new to your channel, but over the last couple of months I bought. Good for you, David. I'm going to write that. Good for you. And welcome. I don't always say thank you to everybody for being here. And I thank everybody for being here, but I thank you very much, David, for being here. I hope my goal, just so you know, or maybe you don't know, I'm not paid by Railtown. I've received nothing from Railtown. I don't expect to receive anything from Railtown. So my goal, as cornball as it seems, my goal is that everybody makes money, and I hope you do. And I also hope that this isn't hot money. I hope this becomes sort of a cornerstone holding that is the gift that keeps on giving to you, David. That's my hope. Mary Patton, good afternoon. Hope your Monday. I bought. Yes, Mary, I think I already wrote that down. Yes, I did. Congratulations, Mary. Ward, yeah, I see two different message boards going on here. I see three. I see a vertical here. I see a horizontal here, and then I see all the messages on the right. I'm bemused. I'm nonplussed. I'm bewitched, bewildered, and bothered. All right, so the stock is 41.7, 40.01 to 42.1. The volume's 100,000 shares. Last trade, 300 shares at 0.417. Tomorrow is a bank holiday. Maybe the government opens tomorrow. Be nice. Eric B., Ward Richardson, same for me. I don't know what to say. Maybe I should go back. They just changed it this way, but it gives me they gave me three choices: vertical, horizontal, or doing both. I picked both because I don't know if it used to be vertical or horizontal. I didn't know what it used to be. So maybe I should just pick one next time and just do that. D. Gordon is very positive on Railtown. Thank you, D. Clay Schoolfield, William, awesome. Clay's this is another position that I am yellows of, but I'm very happy for Clay. Very happy. Very happy, Clay. I think that's fantastic. 243. And I hope it pays you back many returns in recompense for all the times you had to listen to me, Clay. But that's great. Oh, I didn't read it all. He says something nice to me. Thank you. I, William, bought 7,630 shares on Friday for a total of amazing total, 243,180. William, I want to take a minute to tell you that you have a lot of friends here who appreciate you and all you do for this community. Thank you. Thank you very much, Clay. That's awfully kind of you. Clay Schoolfield says, I think I'm a pretty good judge of character, and I think you have goodness and good character in spades. Thank you. Thank you, William. Hold. Exactly, hold. Lester says hi. Hello, Lester. CJ Yukon, you notice that? You notice that? See, every day, CJ, every day, they let retail walk it up, and then it's like they hit it, you know. What's going on, CJ, and this happens a lot in the promoted stocks, they need Railtown, they need retail to have something to steal. And so their strategy, it's not directed at Railtown. It's across hundreds, if not thousands of companies that Adina Friedman ignores and this Chuck E. Cheese guy ignores. And they just start selling. And what we get confused of, we think it means something. It doesn't mean anything. We also think that they know something. They don't know anything. We also think that it condemns the story because the stock is down. Well, for that reason, it doesn't condemn the story. What we can't know is there could always be something else. So that's the problem. Here, I don't think there's anything complicated to understand. I think that a lot of the buyers just have, according to conversations I had over a year ago and about a year ago, the story behind Railtown was powerful a year ago, very powerful. And then they bought AIP, and we went into just this cone of silence, this ditch. We went into the ditch for most of the year, for whatever reason. For whatever reason. In fairness, I may have been unfair for what I figured, but that story hasn't gone away. And in fact, I think over that 10-month period, we've seen evidence that the company's been working hard. They've attended conferences. They've put out enterprise sales agreements, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, without revenue, of course. But and then we have this new presentation. So they've been working. That's my contention. And I think they've been working hard. So I'm excited to see what's happened for 10 months. And one of the most powerful things in here, if you read it, is the revenue sharing agreement. It's just huge. It's huge. They tell you their strategy right here. Anyway, I'm excited to see what happens after AIP gets purchased. But anyway, CJ Yukon, all these guys do every single day is try to nip a bit of money. It doesn't cost them anything. And they're using other people's money anyway, splitting the profits. Then they're using somebody's market maker status, which the market no longer needs. But it's all of a piece to rip off the United States investors and CEOs. And no one cares. No one cares. But here's an example. I mean, you can minimize it or adjust it any way you want. I just want to give an example. The volume today is 110,000 shares. I'm going to use 100,000, even though that's probably more than they've done it to. But I bet the selling 75, 85% of it is just securities entitlements. It's just hypothecating, rehypothecating. It's just Xerox shares. But anyway, let's use 100,000 because it's easy arithmetic. The high on the day is 43 cents. The low is 42 cents. 0.421. So let's say they sold everything at the high, close to the high, and they're able to buy it back close to the low. But let's adjust it. Let's just say it's half a penny. Let's say they profit their goal. They're trying to push it, and all they make today is half a penny. That's $500. It's better than painting houses. But they're doing it. We are in one stock. Many of us are in one stock. They're doing this across hundreds. It's all computerized. And if this one, they only make 500 for the day, well, all right. But if in others, they make 20 grand. It's the most ingenious way of stealing I've ever seen. And even when you get stopped, you know your big sponsors, be it SAC or Citadel or Polar or the Toad, those attorneys get you off because those attorneys work at the big white-shoed law firm that's going to hire the younger attorneys who currently are working on the case at the SAC, and they're going to, in a couple of years, they're going to come in as on the fast track to partner. Guys, it's just a nightmare. It's just the most corrupt. This, I used to I used to be a student. And I've always enjoyed that. I had a professor who in government, and he wrote a series of books, and I think he's even been in documentaries, but I think he's past his sell-by date. I think he passed away, but he certainly maybe, if not, he's in his final stages. But he was a really smart guy. He would to start the classes, he was always paying attention. I remember it wasn't me. I used to sit in the back of the room, even though my eyesight's never that great, because I'd sit in the front of the room and people would make fun of me, I guess. But it was always about my eyesight. But I realized I could do it from the back. But I remember he used to take chalk and he'd throw it to get people's attention. And I remember once it bounced off the back of the blackboard next to me. I'm like, what? but he was trying to wake some guy up. But he would come in to class and he'd call roll, and by the time the first, I don't know what we did, I can't remember if it was an exam or what it was, but by the time the first, he had to hand out our first graded product, he, he handed it out to everybody without making a mistake. He knew he had that kind of a brain. But anyway, he pointed out something that I processed, but I didn't really think I'd see it in my lifetime. But he was writing about the drug cartels and all that, so he was interfacing with it. But he said that in the United States, as citizens of the United States, we take for granted how little corruption there is in the United States. And of course, I was immediately thinking about Watergate or about other, B.B. Rebozo. I was saying, well, wait a minute, there is corruption here. But his point was the magnitude. Basically, in the United States, most people deal with you straight up. That's why a lot of foreign cultures, which I experienced in my lifetime, they want an American around because they assume they're going to get the straight scoop. But you know what? He said that someday, he said, by assuming that we do not have this kind of corruption, we're just taking it for granted. He said, people don't understand how lucky and how valuable it is for our economy, but also for our lives as citizens, that corruption doesn't exist. Imagine if your sheriff's department or your city's police commissioner was owned by the drug cartel. It doesn't happen. But you know what? He said we take it for granted at our own peril. Someday it's going to be gone and we'll be like the rest of the world. And I wonder. But I tell you where corruption is, it's in our financial markets. The financialization of our markets and the concentration of power in the handful of a few bankers is corrupting almost irredeemably our financial markets. And I cut this out over the weekend. This is what Giorgia Meloni said. I wonder if she's related to Thornton Mellon. But anyway, Giorgio Meloni said, America innovates, China imitates, and Europe regulates. I think the last part of that is correct, but I think China's becoming less of an imitator, although I think it's still probably, I think financially, for the financial class, we allowed China to take our technologies and steal the rest and buy our patents. And I think the current financial system allows the bankers to bankrupt our companies, and then China and others can come in and buy the patents for next to nothing. But I also think China, while we've waged endless wars on behalf of our banksters, China has been building up robotic, state-of-the-art factories that can produce anything. They've built up their power grid, their energy supplies. I don't know that they can fix their lack of water. I don't know if they can fix their population problem. And now I think they have a debt problem too. But China produces things. And this has gone on because America, instead of innovating over the last 20, 30 years, we've been hyper-financializing. Our world has become, our whole economy has become the government and hyper-financialization. And to me, the way to get back to innovating is we've got to create a competitive capital formation market, competitive to Wall Street's monopoly on this capital formation soup to nuts, where they choose their buddies and they milk it all the way up. Railtown gives you a chance to buy a stock that, if it were in the maw of Wall Street, it would be like Lang Chain, which doesn't even have a symbol, but I've shown you Lang Chain is projected to do annualized between 12 and 16 million in revenue. Projected. Hasn't even done it yet. It's not making money, but the Wall Street capital formation monopoly, and I don't know where Lang Chain is based. I should look that up. I think it's Palo Alto, but I'm not positive. But anyway, they value that now at $1.25 billion. And guess what? You can't even buy it at $1.25 billion. If you wanted to get into Lang Chain for some reason, they're not going to let you in at $5 billion or $10 billion. It'll come at you strongly. I don't know. It might be priced at $500 billion by the time they're done, and it's put into your retirement plans and your IRA account or at IPOs, and then you get a chance. That entire milking of all the X's from $10 million up to $1.25 billion, on the way to $12.5 billion to $125 billion. All of that gets sucked on and milked and stolen. Well, not stolen, maybe, depending on your point of view, but it gets taken by the men and women that went to the right schools, joined the right firm, all dated Biff and Molly, and share access to each other in ways we don't. And that's not innovation anymore. That's not innovation, because our markets are totally destroyed. But it puts all the profit and the concentration of wealth to a handful of banks, who in turn control our government, and in turn direct us into endless wars, and in turn the government's creating trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars of debt, which goes through Wall Street. And those banks who are picked to run the government bond markets. And that, even welfare, even as people need to go on the SNAP program, it all goes through Morgan Stanley and one other firm, I can't remember, maybe JP Morgan. All those cards, they get a piece of it. This hyper-financialization of our economy is detracting from our history of innovation. And the only way to get back to it, in my judgment, is to bring back our fair markets here, our honest over-the-counter, our honest NASDAQ, our honest precious metals markets and industrial metals markets, and stop the treatment of securities, metals, you name it, as a chance to make high leverage bets and cheat and steal, partly legalized under the Clinton administration, but most of it's stealing, all for our funds, so then they can make fees on the performance of our funds. It all has to stop. It has to stop if we're going to reclaim the future for doing good even. But anyway, I guess I got off track. But CJ Yukon, the key is just remember that when they pressure the stock downward, they're looking to nick half a penny, the tiniest bits. And if they get lucky, they'll love it. If they don't, and they walk away roughly close, great. Because in some other company, some other stock, they'll make their profit for the day. This is industrialized stealing and moving monies from the American taxpayer, which it goes on our national debt, over just to a handful of supranational banks. And we just, while we argue about, Trump's a buffoon, AOC's an idiot, can you believe what Kardashian said about the moon? I can't believe what Taylor Swift just did to some guy that she's dating. We go on and on about this semi-good-looking chick, Sweeney, national uproar. But while we're distracted by all of that, our future is taken away from us by a bunch of supranational banksters. But anyway, I love this quote. It's a good reputation to have that America innovates. I'd like to get back to that when we innovate. I'd like to get back to that. All right, Solomon's Treasure. But by the way, CJ Yukon, don't worry about the day-to-day. Railtown is not a day trading stock. It's not a hot money stock. And so just remember their goals, those shorters, whether it's day trading, hourly trading, or it's this so-called thing, swing trading, it's all misaligned. Their goals are different than yours. So we'll see what happens. But Railtown, if it's valued on the level of Langchain, and remember, Langchain does not make any money. If Railtown just does, 10 million, 15 million out of just the revenue sharing by moving hosting, an expense spent by all of these network companies, just moving the hosting over to TELUS, and they get a revenue share, and it comes in $10 to $20 million, but it's all profitable, and everything else equal. Imagine what the banks the institutions value they're going to give to Railtown once they understand it. That's what you're holding on to, for why we own it, CJ Yukon, not this daily pressing of the bet, the shorts bets. And remember, they can, if they lose in one of their LLCs, they can walk away from it, or they can lie about it for a while. But if there's a loss, hey, it's a cost of doing business, as long as it doesn't get out of hand. And they can write off those losses against their gains. This activity is subsidized by our government's policies. It's mind-blowing. It's just mind-blowing. But anyway, let's go on. Solomon's Treasure. Railtown is your chance to fight back. It's your chance to get in. According to my service here, Railtown's market cap is 55 million. 55 million. You can get into this and you can earn all of the multiples on the way up that the banksters would normally take. This is your way to fight back, and it puts money in your pocket. It puts equity into your account. But don't sell, don't sell, don't sell. Don't sell too soon, and hopefully you don't ever have to sell. It's taken over. I don't like looking up another quote, but let's just look up Soundhound. 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 Soundhound is trading at 14.55, so it's down from its 52-week high of almost $25. But let's see what that market cap is. Wow, it's come down to 5.92 billion. Wow, that's sold off. Now, what is Soundhound? AI. It's on the NASDAQ, so I'm sure there's shorting going on. It's a mid cap, they say, at $6 billion. But it's AI with a target revenue this year, next year, 2026, somewhere in the midpoint between 150 million and 200 million. Let's just, somewhere in there, a bit of a range. Well, you can see Railtown next year projected in that same range. I mean, I don't think it takes too much of an imagination to say that Railtown conductor, if it's first mover, if it's battle tested, if it is solving a real problem on a $300 billion market, $300 billion spend, that if they claim just a tiny bit of that, and remember, it's just about projections. It's not about booking it. It's about believably projecting. Anyway, I think Railtown, believably, in the first quarter, second quarter anyway, should be able to project forward the same kind of revenues that Soundhound has. But Soundhound makes no money. Makes no money. It has a market cap of 5.92 billion. Railtown has a market cap of 55.1 million. So let's just see the X there. $5,920 divided by 55.1. It's 107x. 107x. So if you study SoundHound, the symbol is S-O-U-N. S is in Sam, O is in Oscar, U is in umbrella, N is in Nancy. SoundHound. And if SoundHound sometime over the next 6 months if Railtown were over the next 6 months be able to convince institutional buyers that they had a path to a similar amount of revenue as SoundHound, and Railtown is, let's say, 50 to 60% profitable, you got 107x. Let's say it's 107.44. I mean, I'm showing you how I'm doing it. If I'm making a mistake, let me know. But the last trade is 40.65. It's at least conceivable, ceteris paribus, it's at least conceivable that sometime in the next period of time, Railtown could achieve SoundHound's valuation, considering that SoundHound makes no money and Railtown is going to be profitable. Well, if you take that 107x 0.44 times 0.4065, I mean, maybe there's something I'm doing wrong, but that gives you a target price of $43.67. If you don't like it, cut it in half. That gives you a $21.84 target. If you don't like that, cut that in half. That gives you a $10.92 target. If you don't like that, cut that in half. That gives you a $5.46 target. I'll do it one more time. You don't like that, cut that one in half. It gives you a target of $2.73. Hell, I'll do it one more time. You don't like that, cut that one in half. That gives you a target of $1.36. Guys, the comps are out there. The comparables are out there. They're valued by Wall Street. They're valued by institutions. They're valued by the wall of money coming into AI. And Railtown, best to my way of seeing it, stands a chance to make money at the software development level, which every company is going to be pursuing, a $300 billion annual spend. But it also gets to make a chance just now because of TELUS, which were you expecting that? I mean, come on. A week ago, that didn't exist. But just because of the TELUS data center and the obsession of getting everything inside Canada to get away from the CIA, I guess, Railtown also benefits just with all the other AI companies out there host their companies at TELUS. The ones that use Railtown's conductor. But then you look at this picture. I think I need a haircut. You look at this picture. It's in the presentation. Railtown AI computer revenue, Railtown AI plus Telescorp Compute Partnership is the headline. And at the top is Conductor. I mean, they have it in mind, it looks like, to use Conductor. We got to find out the extent of that. But this is a beautiful stock, and you get, because it's a public company, Wall Street doesn't have its maw on it yet, or its paw on it yet. So you get to benefit by acting. You have the knowledge, you have the comparables, you see the power of it. It's just right in front of you. Anyway, all right, Solomon, I bought 100. Good for you. Good for you. I'm writing that down. 100. Who knows? If it goes to $50, that's $5,000, right? Pay off a credit card. Good for you, Solomon. All right, here looks like a nightmare person. TMZ dash. I can think of a word that begins with C, but I'm not going to use it. Wow, price is high and mighty today. For what? Not our stock. Our stock is still stuck in the doldrums at 40 cents, 41 cents. TMZC, so no meltdown today. Are you talking about the stock or me? I can't speak for the stock, but I can speak for myself. So far, I haven't melted down, but stay tuned. Only an hour to go. Eric B. Quotes Hesham. Quote, incredibly proud to celebrate our TELUS Q3 achievements as our TELUS team leads the charge in building the national AI infrastructure that will power Canada's digital future for generations to come. This quarter, we opened Canada's first fully sovereign AI factory, a groundbreaking, ultra-secure facility, giving Canadian businesses and researchers access to world-class AI technology to develop smarter products, streamline operations, and compete globally, all while keeping data secure and under Canadian control for now, until Canada becomes the United States' 51st state. Then the control might disappear. Joined forces with transformational partners and customers, including Accenture, OpenText, Ernst Young Canada, League, and Railtown AI Technologies to unlock the benefits of sovereign AI across our country. Collaborated with Indie Genomics Institute, providing high-performance AI compute access to develop culturally respectful AI solutions that will elevate indigenous voices and support indigenous economic growth. Grabbed the Global Generative AI Award for the second year in a row for our groundbreaking work using Gen AI to monitor and manage climate incidents, safeguard infrastructure and protect communities during wildfires and extreme weather events, working in close partnership with the TELUS community boards in Canada. The TELUS Friendly Future Foundation granted $7.1 million in cash donation to 500 plus charities and supported over 1.4 million youths this year so far. These achievements, what's that word, youth? Ute? Ute? These achievements reflect the passion, the dedication, and fearless innovation of our exceptional TELUS team. Proof that when we put our customers first and push boundaries together, we transform more than just technology. We transform lives. That's all from Eric B. Thank you, Eric B. Solomon's Treasure. Sorry for the typos. I hope I have time to buy more at low price. Got to add more money to my account. Well, I hope so too. But remember, I believe now that you've established these low prices, as it goes up, you can add to it confidently, because as you add, let's say at $1, $1.50, $2, $3, $4, your average price is always lower. So there's a lot of reason to build a position now, because your courage will be strong as it goes up. But I hope you do get that done, Solomon, and I congratulate you for adding 100 shares. Tebow Teals Alex. Sorry, I'm going to drink some water so my tongue doesn't screw up, or my brain. TELUS and Railtown have officially announced a collaboration where Railtown's AI's agentic software solutions will be deployed in the TELUS Sovereign AI Factory. Great. Thank you. But here's two aspects of that. One, we've spent some time talking about. As they transfer, because they will control AI Partners Network, as they transfer all of those agentic, let's call them agentic agents, that power all of the 180 plus AI companies, each doing 2, 3, 4 million in revenue, according to Dr. Tom Core during his excellent interview and the excellent interview hosted by Rebecca Kurzweil. As all of that moves over, there's revenue sharing there. But you're exactly right. Then there's a collaboration with the businesses who sign up for the TELUS data center using the conductor tools. That's a whole different source of revenue. We have to learn about the magnitude of it in terms, I don't know, I'd love to know, well, what percentage of TELUS's capacity do you think you're going to get in Wissagami, Canada, Quebec? It's really exciting, Tebow. Eric, if this chat room could accept web links, it would be easier. And I don't know how to set that up. I have a goal once this gets to another stage. I'd like to replace my entire setup with a more powerful computer. One gentleman was very kind to send me a computer that for a while allowed me to provide a better service. But when I moved here, that computer was too big for the space I have. So now I'm back to kind of a smaller setup. I would like, whether it's with a laptop or maybe I don't know, a more powerful iPad or even a simple, one of those simple mini computers with, and maybe I can get a big screen, hang it on the wall and look at it there. I don't know. But I'm hoping, Eric, to upgrade that whole aspect. I would love one of the things, I noticed Tucker does it, and there's a couple of other people do it the way I've been envisioning it for a while. But I would love to set up I was looking at a house for sale, I don't know, about a year ago. I couldn't get it done. I would have had to find investors to help me, and it was too much too soon. But man, what a property in the sense that um, they had renters, so it could pay for itself monthly. But I could also set up what I'd love to set up is a studio where I can invite, particularly while I'm in DC, I can invite people in, and I could have interviews from distance, but maybe in place. Anyway, I would need a producer, and I don't have one, and because I don't have any technical skills whatsoever, I don't know how to type. I don't know how to use Siri. Watch that thing come on. It didn't. But I have very limited technical skills. So, but it is a goal of mine, Eric, and I'm sorry this chat room is clumsy. That's my fault. And I don't know how to fix it, make it better. I do appreciate that you shared that with us. So thank you. Lewis Shotland, I bought another. Good for you. That's a nice, that's a sizable amount, 966. That's a great total. Another one I'm jealous of. But remember, when I'm jealous, I'm also happy for you. Each of you, I'm happy. But I love it. I love that you have such a position. Um, I sold the last 300 finger and now own only one stock. Well, that joined the club. I mean, here, I'll look. I'll look. I own three nameless things. I have no idea what they are. They're they're I have no idea. I imagine one is WDHI. I imagine another one is um, I really don't know. Go Logic maybe, and another one might be I really don't know. Anyway, they have no value and you can't trade them. And then I do have my Go Logic from when I originally bought Logic years ago. They distributed it one for one. It became Lovera. Then it changed its name to Go Logic. And so I have, oh, and it must have reversed. I have 3,248 shares of that. Or I must have purchased it at 15 cents. Um, but it has no value. And I have another stock that has no value. And then I have Railtown. So the only stock I have is Railtown. It's the only one. finger motion is 135 to 136. And so, Lewis, I don't say this out of told you so or anything, but back in June, I remember, and see, I don't remember her name, which is good, but one person on the chat said, well, I have 1,000 shares of Finger, and I just remembered, I wrote it down somewhere, but I'm not going to be able to find it. But I remember it in general. I think Finger at that time was trading $5.50, $6, and then Railtown was trading 30 cents, give or take. So anyway, whatever the prices were, I told her you could sell your Finger now, and you could buy. She could buy almost 12,000 shares of Railtown. It was like 11,670 or something. Well, what's interesting, and again, this is not told you so, and it's not to make anyone feel badly, but by waiting, now selling 1,000 shares of Railtown, I don't know, roughly, well, I'll figure it out. Roughly allows you to buy 3,300 shares of Finger. Now, I'm not, again, Lewis, I'm not trying to cause anybody to feel badly, but sometimes it's the action and not getting focused, and I'm not saying this to you at all, I'm saying it in general. Each day we have our account, and we it's very cold in the sense that yesterday is gone. It's just completely gone. You can't do anything about it. The good thing is everyone has the same chance to benefit from the future, but you got to use your wisdom. You got to stay away from certain things. You can't chase chimeras or I've heard it said as chimeras. Anyway, chimeras. You can't chase illusions. But another thing is, if you're in a stock that you anticipate, either it has this dream or you're losing money, so you don't want to get out of it. And again, Lewis, I'm not talking to you, but you don't want to get out of it because you want it to go back to the green. Well, sometimes you got to say, you know what? That one at best might double, or it has a lot of room to go down. This one, if I really believe in it, which I've been adamant about, and it turns out I've been wrong on the timing, so it's been a long wait, but I think that wait's going to be valuable. And as one guy reminded me, which is how I always looked at it, if a stock is going to go on a bull run, which let's see, that's what I'm suggesting to you, Railtown's going to go on a bull run. One of the things I used to do with charts, and we used to get these pretty good chart services that you could go through and draw on, you had to subscribe, but I used to count the squares of the horizontal move and then simply take that vertical to the breakout at the top, and you could get a target about how high it's going to go. The point being that we might get this long 10-month sort of sideways in a broad range movement. Right now it doesn't feel sideways because you could have paid 65 cents and now it's 45 cents. But in general, in the future, this is going to look sideways on the graph. Well, we could have a huge move upward. And so anyway, my point is the whole thing is about making money. It's not about making money in the stock you originally purchased. of course, it's fraught with risk because you've got to be confident in the next one, and everything cycles. But back, Lewis, to my example of this woman, I can't remember her name. If she acted when I suggested it, and I might have been a jerk like I sometimes can, she now has, can I just round it for simplicity? She now has 12,000 shares of Railtown and no shares of Finger Motion. And of course, Railtown, she might have paid 35 cents, 32 cents. So Railtown has just been frustrating. She, again, I'm rounding up slightly. She has $5,000 worth of Railtown. But her Finger, if she didn't do it, has dropped to $1,300. And again, this is not about making people feel badly or bragging or say I told you so. I did call that movement in Finger. I thought it might go to $1.25, but I think I hedged it by saying $1.50 plus or minus 25 cents, something like that. But I guess what I'm trying to point out is that's the strategy. And so each day you look at your account and you have to give probabilities. What's the upside of this one, the upside of that versus the downside? And anyway, I think it's great, Lewis, that you sold your last 300 Finger. Finger might work out, it might not. Look, I didn't own this time around, I didn't own Energy Vault. I never owned Energy Vault. The one I was confused with was Wolf. I mean, there was a time that I owned quite a bit of Wolf, but that was before my account got destroyed. The example, because if someone sold Energy Vault sort of at the time I started recommending Railtown, Railtown's flat if you give me broad poetic license, and Energy Vault's gone up, depending on what you paid for it, 2.5, 3.5 times. Let's just call it 3. So in that same example that I just used with that 1,000 shares of Railtown, perhaps somebody could have purchased, let's just say 5,000 shares of Energy Vault at that time. Right now, that's worth 15,000. So that would have been a better alternative. But how did you know? You also might have purchased G-Bucks. 1 for 1 is how I remember it. You might have purchased 1,000 shares of G-Bucks, which is now worth $100, $130. So that game is a little more difficult, but Energy Vault, the one guy here in particular was very strong on it at that point, and maybe that's an alternative. But I still stand by my recommendation then to do what you've done now, Lewis, in this group of, this bucket of money anyway, put it all in Railtown. The story's not over for Railtown. And yes, in retrospect, if we had all gone into Energy Vault, we could be selling Energy Vault now and buying 2 or 3 times as much Railtown. On the other hand, who predicts the future better than I do? Everybody. On the other hand, who knows? You just got to be happy And that's what I keep, not only do I say it, I mean it. I look at these positions like yours and I'm amazed. I'm absolutely amazed. And I wish I had them. But I'm also grateful for the position that I do have in Railtown. And I think there's no perfect trading. There's no perfect way to do it. So the more for me, I'm just talking to myself, the more I would torture myself, oh, I should have done, I would have, I never should have gone to do that move. All that, it just clutters your thinking for when you sit down one morning and you say, now I've got this opportunity in front of me. I've got these sunk costs over here. If you're thinking clearly, sometimes you make the new decision that's excellent. So anyway, I'm sorry to ramble on that point. I'm so glad, Louis, that you did this. I really am. I congratulate you. Railtown is now 40.401 by 0.421, 12,500 by 12,500. The volume is 111, but still, I just don't see that many trades. In fact, I only see one trade, 112 shares at 0.409. Thank you, Louis, for letting us know. Emil, I added 190. Awesome, Emil. And I'm glad you did it in Canada. I think Canada's where the price gets its validity is in Canada. Good for you, Emil. A lot of people. It's a whole page full of people adding. I think it's great. Thibault, Hasham stated that this partnership demonstrates how Canadian companies can access advanced AI capabilities while maintaining control over their intellectual property. Do Canadians have intellectual property? Of course, I jest. Canada has a lot of intellectual property. Who else knows how to line up 400 ostriches and shoot them all in the name of preventing research into, I can't say it out loud. Donna, good afternoon, William and everyone. You're on a YouTube short. I can't share this video. That might be a problem with your video. So this one over here is YouTube short, or this one is? All right, I'll look next time, Donna. I had a really hard time signing in, and I couldn't figure out what the problem was. Next time I'll do better. Oh, Lordy, here comes this nightmare. TMZ dash cuckold. Wow, I noticed many here thanking Sir William. Let's see how it ends today, TMZC says. TMZ, I'll get my popcorn and soda ready in about an hour time. All right, well, thanks for letting us know what you're doing. And TMZ, I predict for you, although you'll walk away from it unscathed, I predict it ends in tears. But I know it won't affect you for very long. You've got so many companies you can destroy. Dennis Alex, I wish I had 10 grand to buy more while this is tanking. I agree with that sentiment 100%. Doug Peterson, I added just over 10,000 shares today. Wow, Doug. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. Bravo, bravo, bravo. Let me see how the overall markets are doing. The Dow is up 366. NASDAQ is up 515, and S&P up 103. Somebody told me that the markets open on Veterans Day, and my screen is telling me it is closed. So tomorrow, you can't do anything tomorrow in the United States of America, apparently. So that's, you got today, we don't have tomorrow. And somehow on Wednesday, it has to go to $1.10 to beat my projection. But I think on Friday, the buying will begin the following week. So anyway, but remember one thing, Railtown is a Canadian stock. So it can trade in Canada on Tuesday. Let's see what happens. All right, so now what? Strange new format. Ah, lordy. Lordy, lordy, lordy. I'll try to go back to the old. This was the new improved, and it recommended this, and it wouldn't let. All right, I got it, so now what? I'll try to do it differently. I don't know what's going on. It says that now the receiver, you can either get it in this vertical or in this horizontal. Sorry about that. Next time I'll try to fix it. Oh lordy, here we go. Snort Alec. So today a lot of wise speech about Sweeney and how country going wrong direction, etc., etc. But share price how? I don't want to share the price, so I don't know how I can share the price with you. But if you're asking me to discuss the price of Railtown, I believe Railtown, sitting in front of us, Snark, is a comp. It's called Langchain. And Langchain just raised $125 million at a $1.25 billion valuation. It's a private company, so I don't know how many shares. They did it in the Series B round. Now, Langchain has a similar product to Railtown. They both address a $300 billion annual spend. They both address that. But Langchain is not as good as Railtown. And Langchain doesn't have this revenue sharing with TELUS, for example. So anyway, Langchain is projected to, it's annualizing now between 12 and 16 million. And it's valued at 1.25 billion. So Snarky, we have this comp that as soon as Railtown is able to acquire AIP and end, I think, shortly thereafter, this buyers, whatever you want to call it, buyer's strike, buyer's prohibition, I think you can rapidly see Railtown go to an equivalence of 1.25 billion or higher. And if you take today's market cap, now it's not completely an accurate representation because today's market cap doesn't include buying AIP, but then again, today's market cap doesn't bring all the revenue that AIP is going to bring in. So let's just do a simplistic comparison right now. The market cap is 55.1 and the comp is 1.25 billion. All right, Snarky? So you take 1.25 billion, a very recent raise in an inferior product somewhat, and in a company that just started out. Railtown is first to market, solves a real problem, best in class, and it's been at it for 6 years. Its conductor platform is in its fourth iteration at least, and it's self-learning, and it's been in a large anyway, beta tested group. So if you divide 1.25 billion by 55,100,000, you get 22.68 multiple. Now, if we multiply it by the last trade on Railtown, 0.409, Snarky, I guess you're asking me about share price. If we multiply this by 0.409, that gives you a target, Snarky, of $9.28. That's a comp. Now, I would say we should adjust it for various things. Let's take half of it, Snarky. That's $4.64. You want to do that again? Take half of that? That's $2.32. So Snarky, I think ahead of you is you're going to have to scramble to move stock to another LLC or move it to another prime broker or close out your positions or bury your positions over in Europe while you try to hide your losses and hope that you can cover at a later date. But Snarky, the problem with Railtown, your computers and therefore your position was built on the concept that this is an over-the-counter stock and that it's Canaccord. So if you short it, you can busticate. They use that word in upstate New York, or they used to. You can busticate the merger, and then the stock will collapse, or failing that, you can drive the price down so that when Canaccord comes to you, your paymaster, and says, hey, we're doing an offering for this company, Railtown, at the price instead of 40 cents at 15 cents with warrants. Are you interested? Well, you've already built some cash. You say, sure, we'll take 2 million shares. You close out your position. The stock collapses and it goes the way of MMAT, Torchlight, MMTLP, MULN, COSM, CRTD. The list is legion. But guess what? Your computer is just as dumb as a rock, and your computer doesn't have the analytical ability, apparently, to check, well, wait a minute, is this a Canadian company? And I know you guys destroy Canadian companies. I'm in a silver company you destroyed. I know you do it. But in general, you forgot this is a Canadian company. But most of all, what you didn't know, they've never done a toxic convertible note. And the other thing your computer didn't factor in, they don't need anything. If they just close this deal and start moving the hosting over to TELUS, I'm not making it up. There's the TELUS revenue sharing. And right here is the revenue that'll move over. 120 million. And it's always growing. Call it 10%. 10% of that is the share at 100% margin. Well, that's right at the lower end of the 12 to 16 million projection. And remember, that's just one part of Railtown's revenue, but that's 100% margin, whereas in the case of Langchang, they don't make money. And they haven't done 10 million or 12 million. You get a $1.25 billion valuation, you're looking at $9 or you're looking at $5. And snarky, you're in trouble. But I know you have ways around it. And one of your ways is to try to make people think I'm a loony. Well, that's the only thing that you might be right about. I don't want to be a loony. But sometimes I get embarrassed when I think about things I've done and said. Snarkalic. Wow, the day started very nice and sweet. 3 hours later, now it's beginning to crack. In whose mind? Whose mind? How's that popcorn and pop going for you? Looks like this stock might close in the green, Snarky. Kryptonian, I do need some AI assistant software. That's a good idea. I could Google that tonight. Eric B. Add another 19 today after the stock return. I don't know if you did add or I'm going to write it down in case you did add. Your tense, it's neither past tense or future active. It's kind of a neutral tense you have there. So I'm writing it down, but I might not put it in. I might not put it in the total yet, because I'm not sure you did it or if you're waiting to do it. I'm just not sure. But it's great, Eric. It's great. Steve, hi, Uncle Bill. I have an order out there I'm trying to finish from Friday. Yeah, don't remember Steve, you can't buy it tomorrow. And to wait 48 hours is too much risk. So I'd close it out by the end of the day. Just change the price, put it in at the ask, and you won't pay the ask. Don't try to save a penny and you'll miss $1. But great, I congratulate you, Steve, that you're buying more. And Eric B, RK. RK. Sometimes I'm not as smart as I want to be. Eric B says hi to Donna. Justin Babish, vertical videos are short clips. Horizontal is your, okay. Justin, it's this new thing. And it came on the screen as I tried to sign, and I had to sign out. and then they gave me recommended. So it's going out both ways, but I'll correct that. Thank you for letting me know. So we have 15 minutes left to go, and it's 0.401 to 0.4222. Steve, I would just switch to the ask. Don't get too cute. Just get it done. Just get her done today. You never know what happens. Oh, in Canada, it's still going to be trading tomorrow. You're not going to be able to borrow tomorrow. You don't know what's going to happen. Of course, I don't either. But let's see how it's trading, even though it's delayed in Canada. Can't get this right. Okay, there we go. It's up in Canada. Last price 58 cents, which seems like what Eric was talking about. So maybe he did buy today. The volume is 46,000. It's a sizable bid at 57 cents, 8,500, considering. Kuda guy. 1,100, that's great. Added 1,110. Bravo. That's a great position. That is a great position. Good job, Kudakai. Account settings. Good afternoon, William. How are you? Hello, everyone. Hi, Steve. Even I have my order in, waiting to fill. Guys, just move it to the ask. Move all your orders to the ask. You're not going to pay the ask, I bet. But just move them. Fill your orders. Fill your orders. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. The way Railtown's been acting over the last week, now I'm not talking stock price, I'm talking activity. I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow night, there's some sort of news. I'm not saying, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But 2 Fridays ago, the deadline passed without disaster. Monday, what happened Monday? Can't remember what happened Monday. Tuesday, the TELUS deal was announced. Wednesday, Thursday, this presentation came out. And then, I guess it was Friday, the news came out that they had announced a deal with AIP, and they're going to announce that anyway, they were saying, they gave us a date certain, November 14th. So I don't think, today they didn't do anything. I'd be surprised if another 24 hours goes by and they don't do anything. But who knows? Who knows? Just how I read it. Eric B. 19K more, bravo. It's not your English, I'm the idiot reading it. It's the combination of your English and the fact that you only have me to interpret it. That's the problem. Problem is me. It's not you, it's me. Kuda guy. Dennis Alex, same here. I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel to buy 1,000 shares. Yeah, I really like, I think it was Pat M the other day. Sold, it's interesting. I don't know how to do it. I had a friend help me, and I think she was using, I don't know what she was using, but if the United States is going to go through anything like the Great Depression, which I don't remember, but my father remembered because he was a boy, but it really devastated my grandfather's adult life, and along with which I don't know where it comes from, but along with illness, it changed everything. And we've lived in a period of relative wealth and abundance for a long, long time. Anyway, I won't, now's not the time to talk about what might come. But I do encourage people, and it might be too late for Railtown, it might not be. But right now, there are ready buyers for junk that you have. Things you're holding on to. I didn't want to, there was so much I didn't want to sell. And by the way, I gave all of the money to her. I didn't keep it because she was very kind in other ways. And don't go with any dirty thoughts. But a lot of that crap that you have will have no value maybe in a year if we go into this nightmare that some people are projecting. Even if we go into, as somewhat of a nap-mare or a early evening mare, a daytime mare that doesn't last too long, there might not be very much value for your crap in 6 months' time. So you might as well sell it. Maybe make it a goal by the end of the year to sell a bunch of crap and buy Railtown, whatever the price is of Railtown, or buy physical silver. Those are my two alternatives. Or buy your mother something nice. $354, 41 now. The bid is going up. I guess Snarky's enjoying his popcorn and pop. 41 to 42.7. Is that what they call it in Canada, pop? Or do they call it soda? Kuda guy. I'm jealous. Yellow, see? Yellows is contagious. I'm jealous of Doug Peterson. I have a friend, she's Spanish, and she speaks Spanish, German. She's studying Chinese, and she speaks English. But Spanish is her first language. But she told me that she loved my sweater one time. I had a sweater. I love the Jello. I said, Jello? I love your sweater. I like your color of Jello. I said, Jello? Yeah, Jello. I said, the other day we were talking about a friend of yours that got arrested and he was put where? Oh, he went to Yale. He went to Yale? I thought he went to jail. Why don't you just switch those around? She can't do it. So anyway, that's why I always say yellows instead of jealous. And I'm yellows as well. But I'm happy. It's a happy yellows because I'm really glad that people are going to have a chance. I don't think I put it on my top 10 reasons, but to me, one of the biggest reasons to buy Railtown is to try to get out of the red that many of you experienced in all these other ideas and stocks. And I actually think get into the green for the pain. And the way to do it is to have a large enough position. But even 1,000 shares is gonna change people's accounts in meaningful ways, in my judgment. So I'm proud of everybody. We got 3 minutes to go. It's 41 cents by 42.7. If you're trading, waiting for a fill, you've got 2 minutes just to cancel. Just modify that order. Go online, just modify it. Switch the buy to the ask price and close that trade out in the next 2 minutes. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Of course, it could just be as boring as it's always been for the last few weeks, but you don't know. You don't know when it's going to rock and roll. Now it's 0.407, 12,500 shares by 0.427, 32,500. Go try to take that 32,500. They won't let you. They won't let you. They'll do it in between. But anyway, do what you want. Last trade, 2,000 shares, 41.5. Prior to that, 500 shares, 42.4. Prior to that, 500 shares, 42.1. And prior to that, the 112 shares at 0.409. We're currently showing a volume of 114,920. The bid is 0.407 for 12,500. The ask is 0.427 for 32,500. And the last trade is 0.415. We've got less than a minute to go, so if you're still not filled, just switch. Do it. Switch to the ask. Get her done. Get that trade off. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow in Canada. And by the time Wednesday comes around, this could be a 60-cent stock. I don't know. Obviously, it's not going to be my prediction of $1.10, but anything could happen. We still got 30 seconds or so to go, 0.407 to 0.427, 12.5 by 22.5. The volume is 118,017. Okay, somebody's telling me the market opens tomorrow. How come today in E-Trade it's telling me the market closes? Oh, the bond market will be closed. Oh, okay. It'll be open tomorrow. But November 11th is not a settlement day. That's how they let it open. It's not a settlement day, so there's no violations, but you can trade. So if you bought it today, settlements Wednesday. I see. All right, thank you for letting me know, everybody, I was wrong. It says right on the top, Veterans Day market closures. I thought it said closed. It says closures. So the bond market's closed tomorrow. Stock, options, and futures markets will be open. Well, that's good news. So you'll have tomorrow to do it. Railtown closed up 0.019 at 41.9, and the volume 118,017. I don't know. Everything else closed at various slightly down, slightly up. And the market closed. The market's all closed up. And in Canada, I think it's delayed, unfortunately. It looks like Railtown closed at 58. And let's see, the market is reopened. There's a vote going on, I guess. So where could I find, oh, I see, I could go there. I see what's happening. There's two. There's the normal one live, and then there's the straight up and down one. That's weird. Sinner's playing FAA, and of course Sinner is winning, of course. Yeah, I guess the government is open. I just don't know if it's funded yet. Oh, RK is for Rebecca Kurzweil, yeah. And Eric B is, I guess, agreeing with me. That's how real wealth is built. I don't know. That's what I think. And that's on the post of Elon Musk. Eric B, YouTube blocks all my links. I wonder why. I don't know why. Account settings. All right, William, I just did it your way. All right. All right. I think that's the right thing. I was wrong that it's going to be closed tomorrow, but it doesn't mean I'm wrong. Tomorrow, you don't know how it's going to open. I think your new total is 132. That's amazing. That is awesome. And remember, we all have these goals of wish we own that, wish we own that. Owning a certain amount of stock is part of the equation. In my judgment, we're not going to have to sell this stock. It'll be bought out. But we don't know that for a fact. So the other part is selling it. So, account settings, if you could have purchased 5 more shares, in the long run, it'll all wash out. Account settings, I did lose 500 shares from my original order, but that's okay. I think it is okay. Now, I could be proven wrong, and it pulls back, but it doesn't look that way right now. It looks pretty strong. The way it closed, it looks strong. That's why I was, but I can be wrong. But right now, and of course, this is after hours, 40-cent bid and 47-cent ask. That's just, they moved out so that no trades went off by accident. But I think the stock's behaving with strength. So I think you did the right thing. And maybe you lost some. Maybe you can add a little over the next days or so. But it's okay. It's okay. As a percentage of your overall position, it's not very much. And again, what's going to count is I hope you hold it. I hope you're not planning on hot money selling it, but also what happens, what you sell it for. So we'll see. I'm really glad you did it. It's a post from Rebecca Kurzweil on Elon's social media. That's how wow. So Elon might come in. Wow. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So it's 4:06. I'm going to just read the conclusion of The Great Taking. It's not very long, thank God. The Great Taking. And maybe I'll figure out a way to do another video that I just read it all in one fell swoop. But I want to get into evidence by David Rogers Webb why I believe this chasing of short squeezes is so problematic. All right, so here's the conclusion. It's page 62. It's not very long. I think it's 5 pages. And it starts with a quote. Let every soul submit himself unto the authority of the higher powers. There is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained by God. That's the Tyndale Bible. And if it's Tyndale, I'm sorry. For his efforts in translating certain texts into the English of the day, William Tyndale was jailed. Perhaps he was yaled in a castle just outside of Brussels, and then executed by strangulation, after which his body was burned at the stake. Wow. Perhaps one night, at some point, it's my eyesight, perhaps one might, at some point, come to question whether the powers that be are ordained of God. One can easily know that they conduct wars against innocent people. Curtis LeMay famously said, quote, "There are no innocent civilians." That sounds like Benji. There are no innocent civilians. It is their government, and you are fighting a people. You are not trying to fight an armed force anymore. So it doesn't bother me much to be killing the so-called innocent bystanders, unquote. As a human being, should this not concern you? What part of the organized slaughter of vast numbers of innocent people can you find acceptable? Do you believe that you are special in some way? That you were being protected? Or that you will be protected now? There has been abundant evidence of great evil at work in the world throughout time and in our present time. Do you really wish to be ignorant of its existence and operation? There is an interconnectedness of all things. If you don't care about the obvious lies, the deaths of innocent children, the firebombing of cities, the suppression of dissent, the propaganda, the escalating terrorism, in which, quite strangely, innocent people are always and everywhere the target, sooner or later, it is coming for you, or your children, or your grandchildren. If you know and you're not doing anything about it or saying anything about it, it's time. It's time to start connecting the dots because they lead to you. If you are wealthy, you might assume that because the system has allowed you to accumulate wealth, you will be protected in some way, that you are special. You are special. But you are special. They're saving you for dessert. You have been allowed to chase profits while the well-being and resilience of your people have been broadly and systemically eliminated. There are monsters under the stairs eating people alive, but you don't want to look under the stairs because you want to keep using the stairs. To know is bad. Sorry. To not know is bad. To not want to know is worse. Willful ignorance of the existence and operation of evil is a luxury even the wealthy can no longer afford. We are in the grip of the greatest evil humanity has ever faced or has refused to acknowledge, as the case may be. Hybrid war is unlimited. It has no bounds. It is global, and it is inside your head. It is never ending. Nothing focuses the mind like an imminent hanging, or as Samuel Johnson originally said, quote, "Depend on it, sir. When a man knows he is to be hanged in a fortnight, it concentrates his mind wonderfully," unquote. Hybrid war can be stopped. Stopping it begins in your mind. During the Great War, Edward L. Bernays had worked with the Committee on Public Information to, quote unquote, sell the war to the public. In 1928, he published his book, Propaganda, in which we can read this statement on the subject: "Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country," unquote. The systemic psychological manipulation of society, begun with the evils of the Great War, has continued nonstop and has escalated to the point that we are now subject to full spectrum, continuous psychological operations. "81 years after the publication of Bernays' book, Chris Hedges, smart man, Chris Hedges wrote the following, quote, "A public that can no longer distinguish between truth and fiction is left to interpret reality through illusion. Random facts or obscure bits of data and trivia are used either to bolster illusion and give it credibility, or discarded if they interfere with the message. when opinions cannot be distinguished from facts, when there is no universal standard to determine truth in law, in science, in scholarship, or in reporting the events of the day, when the most valued skill is the ability to entertain, the world becomes a place where lies become true, where people can believe what they want to believe. This is the real danger of pseudo events, and pseudo events are far more pernicious than stereotypes. They do not explain reality as stereotypes tend to, but replace reality. Pseudo events redefine reality by the parameters set by their creators. These creators, who make massive profits selling illusions, have a vested interest in maintaining the power structures they control, unquote. The people behind the wars have never been investigated and removed from power. They have continued in control of all central banks and money creation and have extended their control globally. By the way, this is the first time I'm reading this. Certainly many who have abetted this are ignorant of the greater design, but the people behind the wars are, quite literally, lying, thieving, killers, and they know it. To say that there is much evidence of this is an understatement. Perhaps they have not killed innocent men, women, and children with their own hands, but they have deliberately caused these deaths. That this is done with intent can be known through the persistence of their planning and actions over many decades. While the scale and audacity of this criminality seems unimaginable to us, nothing is unimaginable to them. Their criminality has now reached unprecedented and ultimate scale, as its aim is the subjugation of the entire globe and of all people. Wars have always been not so much about taking things as about subjugation of population on all sides. Vast destruction and death are acceptable to their planners. You might ask, how could the people plotting and executing such insane schemes be held together? I suggest that it has something to do with the binding power of shared guilt, of the criminal pact. The perpetrators are each and all are bound, whether explicitly or unconsciously, by evidence of shameful, treasonous acts committed against their own people. The commission of crime is a power totem among them. The more heinous the crime, the more powerful is the binding force. In the past few years, you have been living within an escalating hybrid war. Globally, we have witnessed overt media control and propaganda campaigns. Censorship, including arrests of people speaking in public, monitoring of all electronic communications and physical contact tracing, brutally enforced lockdown and masking requirements, with people being beaten, handcuffed, and arrested, even in their homes, suspension of healthcare services and weakening of healthcare systems, invasive testing requirements for employment and travel, forced quarantine of travelers, and coerced quarantine and blank of the healthy general population. Governments dropped all pretense of democracy and were emboldened to practice open despotism. There are no functioning checks on this power. The courts provided no effective recourse to the public. Governments broadly abused fundamental human rights, using as justification the need to prevent the spread of infectious diseases, which are in truth are a great many, ever present and continually evolving. And so this justification, if allowed to stand, affirms the end of democracy and the continuation of openly despotic government. Are you able to contemplate this may have been more than a something that occurred a couple of years ago and locked everything down? We have witnessed designs and real attempts to exert physical control over every person's body globally, and this is continuing. Why is this happening? Hi, and this is David Rogers Webb. I will make a startling assertion. This is not because the power to control is increasing. It is because the power is indeed collapsing. The control system has entered collapse. Their power has been based on deception. Their two great powers of deception, money and media, have been extremely energy efficient means of control. But these powers, money and media, are now in rampant collapse. This is why they have moved urgently to institute physical control measures. However, physical control is difficult, dangerous, and energy intensive. And so they are risking all. They are risking being seen. Is this not a sign of desperation? Where will they hide when they have all of the assets, when they have damaged all of humanity and caused billions to awaken through suffering? I hate interrupting this text, but it's often occurred to me they're doing this to collect everything, particularly gold, and give it to a population when they return. And that population, when it returns, is not very large. And therefore, the destruction of the entire planet may be in their interest because they don't have enough people to control 6 or 7 billion. But anyway, that's a little out there. That was my thought. But anyway, where will they hide when they have all of the assets, when they have damaged all of humanity and caused billions to awaken through suffering? They promote the belief that they are all powerful. They are not. All they have had is the power to print money. The rest they have usurped from humanity. Never before has a system benefited so few at the great expense of so many. And I would add, again, that they are printing stocks as well. They're printing gold as well, all in paper form, to expand this power. And maybe Mr. Webb's correct. Maybe it's a sign of desperation. I think it's a sign of needing more collateral. Never before has a system benefited so few at the great expense of so many. Is this not inherently unstable and unsustainable? Physical control, as opposed to rule by deception, requires enormous energy. Can this be sustained while destroying all economies and abusing all people globally? They do not know how to, quote unquote, build back better. Look at their footprints around the world, the destruction, the economic devastation. When it comes to the real world, they are exceptionally good at just one thing: FUCKING, things up. Then they declare victory and fix blame on others for the horrific damage done. We were told by Hobbes that war is the natural state of man. Hobbes' patrons were, quote, nobles. But is war natural and inevitable? How did humanity survive? Think about it. Did humans survive by killing each other? Well, I checked with Cain. It's oxymoronic. War is aberrant. Aberrant. I don't know how to pronounce it. I was going to say abhorrent. It's aberrant. 100% of human survival is based on cooperation. You cannot survive alone. You depend on everyone else and everything else. That is sanity. That is reality. All organizations promoting war are criminal organizations. The people behind them are mass murderers. The men and women orchestrating chaos in country after country are criminals of the worst kind. The people following orders are not heroes. They are criminals. The people controlling this system are quite obviously not benevolent. They are not noble. They are not elite. They are insane. They are the antithesis of everything we could value, admire, and love. These people do not represent human development or the future of humanity. They are lacking in essential human qualities. They are aberrant. Antipathy for humanity is aberrant. For 99.99% of human history, sociopaths like these would have not survived the next winter. Their nature was seen, and they were ostracized from the village to save the village. Last page. They operate today through anonymity enabled by inhuman scale of social organization. Even so, this will not allow them to continue indefinitely. We have entered a time in which their nature is being recognized. Knowledge of their existence has become unavoidable. Their grasping will come to an end because all of humanity cannot allow it to continue. Once it is recognized, humans will bond against a common existential threat. People from all walks of life will join in common cause. We have witnessed this already. Their power structure can and must be dismantled non-violently. The masterminds will not yet be known. However, the individuals and organizations near the levers of power, monetary, media, government, healthcare, military, police, legal, corporate, operating with criminal intent toward the mass of humanity can be identified. The allegiances of these functionaries are unstable, driven by narrow self-interest. By directly and personally putting these people on notice that their actions are being documented and subject to criminal prosecution, they may be impelled to decline further involvement. This process can be accelerated. It is not necessary to wake up the majority. We are not fighting the 1%, but the 0.01%. Even without mobilizing the majority, it is entirely possible to realize an enormous advantage of intelligent, capable, activated people. If the people behind this great taking persist in their insane schemes, they will inevitably be found. It will be quite simple to follow the collateral to those who have arranged to take it. Perhaps they aren't such masterminds after all. We will come to know who is behind this hybrid war against humanity. We will come to know who controls the Bank for International Settlements, the Federal Reserve System, and all central banks globally, and hence all political parties, governments, media, and armed forces. We will come to know who controls the CIA, and we will finally know who has been behind the assassinations. Let me close with John Fitzgerald Kennedy's own words. Our problems are man-made, therefore they can be solved by man. That's the end of the book. And I'll try to organize it in a way. Maybe we can have a discussion about it, but that's the end of The Great Taking. All right, let's go up here. Post on, yeah. All right, account settings. Let's see how it turns out. But I think you'll be okay. I really do. It's a post from Rebecca Kurzweil today on Elon. No, check the RK post. Well, let me see if I can find Rebecca. I know you're gone, but let me see if I can find Rebecca. Jenny Rebecca, I wonder how she's doing. I wonder how Jenny's doing. I got to check into her. Jenny Rebecca, 4 days old. How do you see the world? And she works with a lot of companies. So she works with family offices and institutional investors. She's building an empire. There, she pointed out the revenue as well, just like I've been trying to do. The revenue story for rail towns is starting to unfold. Bravo for her. Bravo for her. Bravo for her. All right, I'm going to have to go through. She's got a lot out there. Good for her. Eric, enough chat for me. Frustrated with YouTube. Sorry. I'll try to get a better service, Eric. Ward's asking, what is RK? Rebecca Kurzweil. Yeah, I encourage on her site. She's got a bunch of posts. Maybe tomorrow we'll go through them. I'm just feeling a bit knackered today. All right. Let me just check to make sure we're not at war, because I'm always nervous. Okay, so it looks like we're not at war. The wobble is over. Goldman says money flow, the Santa rally is still on for this year. Senate eyes possible Monday passage for shutdown bill. Johnson thinks the House has the votes. Good. Stocks bid, dollar is hit. Big tech, bullion, and Bitcoin bid. Soft iPhone Air sales may force Apple to hit pause on next version. Big government is the problem, not the solution. Well, big government helps a lot of people, even the rich. Big government. All right, let's just see what, if there's anything here. Whoo! All right, we'll go to Martin Armstrong for the last comment on the day, and then I'm going to sign off. Martin Armstrong posted today, American household debt reaches 18.59 trillion. American household debt has reached new all-time high after rising by 197 billion in Q3 to 18.59 trillion. American consumers, the breadbasket of the national economy, are over-leveraged. The economy is less likely to absorb shocks from trade disruptions or shifting interest rates. 2/3 of the United States GDP is based on consumer spending. Trade was bountiful in this consumer economy as other nations lined up to sell to American consumers. Manufacturing was once a strong point, but it has since flattened, now in an 8-month consecutive contraction. Government institutions, businesses, and now the consumer are drowning in debt. Confidence in the future has vanished. The situation is dire, multiplying in scope since the pandemic. Overall debt has spiked $4.4 trillion since the end of 2019. Mortgage balances have reached $13.07 trillion, up $137 billion from the last quarter. People are holding on to their pandemic-era mortgage rates for dear life. The over-asking price bidding wars are over as real estate is firmly in a buyer's market. The younger generation cannot enter the housing market. Student loan debt is now calculated in overall household debt. Millions believe the last administration's promise that their debt would be forgiven. Student loan debt reached a record high of $1.65 trillion, rising $15 billion from last quarter. Nearly 10% of all student debt has been reported as 90 days delinquent. Credit card balances went up $24 billion in Q3 to $1.23 trillion. Interest and principal may be flowing from household to banks and financial institutions for now, but the softening labor market indicates that delinquencies will continue to rise. Debt servicing costs will rise as lenders aim to offset any additional losses. Consumer spending has been steady, broadly speaking, but consumers are spending more on less. With the U.S. consumer heavily leveraged, the capacity to absorb shocks from trade disruptions, rising interest rates, or global capital shifts is reduced. If the American consumer hurts, the entire economy feels the pain. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Eric, I will look for these posts for tomorrow. I'll show everybody. Well, maybe I won't. Maybe I won't. I have more guns than I need. I'll show you Rebecca Kurzweil. Her company is called Bello Capital Partners. On LinkedIn. All right. I'm going to sign off, everybody. It's 4:44. Good time to sign off. I wish each of you peace. Cheers.